Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Ooh, I just flipped the switch on you. Spider-Man, Batman, all kinds of news going on, Spencer.
Yes.
We'll start off with the happy news. Spider-Man is back in the MCU. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I like it. I kind of figured it was going to happen.
Too much money on the table for it not to happen.
But then I saw a thing that made, like, would upset me if it happened. Because it sounded like, to me, it's like his movie and, like, an appearance in, like, another movie.
Yeah.
But, like, then somebody's like, well, what about if they just try to, like, Endgame Spider-Man? Like, within those two movies, they do something that they can... Like with like Iron Man, they write Spider-Man at the the MCU.
They could do that
somehow. Like so.
How do you feel about Ghost Rider? Because he was supposed to be on Hulu.
He
show,
didn't get it. Yeah,
and they got rid of it, and they're talking about doing movies.
Oh
yeah.
I just saw that the Hulu show wasn't happening. I didn't see anything about movie.
The reason for that is because they decided they're going to put him in the MCU. That'd be cool, but they're going to recast him.
Oh yeah, you'd have to recast him. So
I'm not saying Nicolas Cage shouldn't be recast. You know what? Fuck it. What I'm saying is Nicolas Cage should be recast.
Yeah.
He should just be Johnny Blaze, just old, haggard, sexy Johnny Blaze. But my brother came up with the best idea I've ever heard. Now just hear me out.
All right.
Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
The whole time he just has flaming skull head.
Yeah.
And then when he turns into Ghost Rider. So he's just Johnny Blaze with flaming skull head, and then when he turns into Ghost Rider, it's just screaming Nicolas Cage head. So when he turns to Ghost Rider, then he's just screaming Nicolas Cage head.
I kind of
so it's like reverse.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Because the screaming Nicolas Cage head is way scarier, in my opinion, than the Ghost Rider head.
But I think it would be cool, though, if they could work like, some kind of cameo in with him, like, They
kind of have to. I mean, he was the only real Ghost Rider in the movie, so...
And I mean, like, he needs the money, so it's not like it's going to be expensive. And people, fans be like, oh, they dig that little shit.
Final news that we'll touch on before we go into this episode, completely unrelated to comics. The Joker backlash. Out of nowhere, without anybody really seeing the movie, the Joker's too violent now. People are saying it's going to cause incels and angry white men everywhere to shoot up places and go crazy. In a universe where there's 3 John Wick movies where he just literally kills everybody that exists.
Yeah.
That's fine. But god damn it, you have a Joker movie, Joaquin Phoenix, and he's going to kill some people. That's too much. How do you feel about that?
It's just dumb. It's one of those things, like, it's going to happen. Especially considering how, a few years ago you had the dude dressed up as the Joker shooting, like, the movie theater and all that nonsense.
Well, that's kind of what started the debate, I guess. But, I mean, nobody seemed to care about the Heath Ledger Joker killing a bunch of people.
Yeah. And
maybe because it wasn't rated R, it wasn't as violent. I don't know.
You can't... Because those people, like, say if somebody did see that movie and, they do something stupid... If they made that movie from an R to a PG-13, they're just gonna find something else that was gonna make them go and do that, that same stupid thing. I mean, fucking Son of Sam had his dog fucking tell him to, murder people. So,
well, again, we're living in a country that we would rather ban or boycott the movie than address the people who are getting fucking machine guns pretty much and killing people. Like, why don't we focus on that, maybe?
Or even the other aspect of, like I was saying, the kind of people that are going to do that normally going to have some kind of mental imbalance anyways. Looking to trying to get those people, like, the proper help that's
what I'm saying. Like, why aren't we focusing on the actual problem, which is the people that are committing these mass shootings, not the fucking movies or video games?
I thought you were more talking about, like, the selling of guns and stuff like that when you said that.
No, I mean, there's a factor if you have a weapon, but even so, doing the Republican asshole side of the debate, if you're crazy enough, you're still going to find a way to kill people, whether that's vans or bombs. Or, I mean, in this country, it's pretty easy to find a way to kill mass people without guns. So, I mean, guns are a part of the issue, like just how easy they are for mentally unstable people to attain. But the problem is the people that are fucking doing this in the first place. There's plenty of people with guns that don't shoot people.
Yeah, plenty.
So I just thought that was kind of a stupid. Like, don't blame the fucking Joker movie for. Go blame John Wick then if you're gonna like.
Especially if it hasn't came out yet.
Yeah.
Like. Say if it comes out and, say the Joker killed somebody in a particular way, like a couple times in the movie, and then people start killing people that way, then okay, they can maybe, but even then that's still a stretch. But at least wait till the thing comes out.
Well, what worries me now is that this might premeditated, instigate somebody to do it. Now they're like, oh shit, well, I can kill a bunch of people. They're gonna blame the Joker.
Use it as an excuse.
Yeah, or even some super crazy leftist person who's like, oh, they're this will really get the gun debate sparked up. Yeah. There's all kinds of fucking nut jobs out there. But I thought that idea was stupid. I mean, the John Wick movies make gunplay look cool.
Yeah.
The Joker movie's not gonna do that, obviously. I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see how it goes. But you know what? One more little hint of murder talk before we get to the episode. The Irishman looks fucking awesome. You see that? The new Martin Scorsese movie? It's got Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino. It's got all those dudes from the old fucking gangster movie days. And they de-aged them. Oh, yeah? Yeah.
Is it weird?
It looks pretty good.
What about Pesci? How does Pesci look?
They still look, older, obviously. They didn't make him 20. They just made Robert De Niro's 80. They made him 60 or something. Pesci looks good. This is the first movie back in a long time. Yeah. It's 3.5 hours long. But apparently from all the screenings and stuff they've done, it's a masterpiece.
Well, so is it just a gangster movie or?
Pretty much.
Okay.
I think it's about Jimmy Hoffa or something.
Oh.
And for some reason Robert De Niro plays the Irishman. Doesn't look too Irish to me.
Yeah.
But
no, I'll have to check that out.
I don't think I'm going to see that in theater. That's a long-ass movie, but I will check it out. I'm going to go see The Joker when that comes out. If you want to go see that, we can go do that. Mrs. isn't going to want to see that one. And then I'm going to see Dr. Sleep and what else is out?
I was going to ask you...
That Rob Zombie movie, probably.
What are your thoughts on that Ad Astra, that Brad Pitt space movie?
I didn't think... It looks okay, but I don't think I'm going to see it.
No. You gonna wait till that comes out?
I just probably will never see it. It's one of those ones. It's just at that level where it's I'm interested, but I'm not gonna probably ever watch it.
You know what? I'm happy that it seems like Brad Pitt's back to at least doing kind of cool movies.
Yeah, for a while there he was doing some.
Well, there for a while he wasn't even doing shit.
He was producing.
Yeah,
Well, he won an Oscar for what was that? He won an Oscar for producing.
I don't know.
Was it Manchester by the Sea? Did he produce that? I don't fucking know. I don't remember.
I just miss the days of Brad Pitt doing badass 7 movies and and Fight Club and that kind of shit.
No, I mean that I gotta see the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because apparently that's just amazing.
Well, I'm saying at least with that and at least this debating on how good it is. At least it seems like a cool an interesting movie. Yeah. He's just not just playing the leading man in something or
right or just the wise co-actor guy.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just saying words. Let's get into this episode. Nobody wants to hear us talk about fucking
Brad Pitt.
Man. Brad Pitt. He's still sexy at 50 something. I'd do him. Hey there, ghouls and creeps. This is Caleb James with the DPW podcast. All October, we're going to be doing horror, man. Probably not, but we're going to be doing a lot of horror episodes. And with my co-host today, he's going to have a lot of horror-themed names. For today, the man of the hour, Spencer, the Dunwich Demon Church.
Howdy, folks.
Play on the Dunwich Horror from H.P. Lovecraft, which you have not read because you're a fuck.
No.
You Dunder Mifflin.
Ooh, whoa. Whoa, man.
I'm sorry, when I think it's scary, I think of Scranton, Pennsylvania. Oh, man, if you could tell by the title, this episode's about classic horror literature. Classic horror... Sorry, I've been ill. Classic horror short stories that you should be reading. Have you read any of these on this list?
I don't think so, no.
This one is from theweek.com. W-E-E-K, not weak as in weak-boned, from osteoporosis. We should get an osteoporosis sponsor. We should get sponsored by old people things.
I'll be okay with that, I mean.
Like AARP,
That cell phone that, it just goes by the minute and just has texting on it.
The company that makes those really big TV remotes with the huge buttons on them.
Life alerts.
I'd be down for that.
Oh yeah, man, old money spends just as well as anything.
Yeah, and they buy dumb shit. They'd probably actually.
Yeah.
They'd think they would have to pay for this probably.
And they'd probably buy more than one of whatever it is.
Yes. So 9 classic horror stories you can read right now. If you go to this website, it's week.com.cdn.ampproject.org. That's way too big of a name. But if you go there, you can actually read these stories if you want for free, which I have not. But a couple of these I've read at least. Let's get into it.
I've heard of a good bit of them. I just haven't,
well, I'm sure a lot of these have been adapted to other mediums too because they're so famous. But number 1, I actually read this in the springtime, maybe. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. I don't know. Have you ever read the original Legend of Sleepy Hollow? No. I know you've probably seen the movies.
Yeah. I know the story and stuff, but never actually read it.
The original story is a gothic horror tale, and it's quite boring.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's got Ichabod Crane, and it's got the headless horseman chasing him, but it's just not. Even back then, I don't think it would be really scary. I mean, it had a little bit of cool imagery. But it's a short story. It wasn't very long. But obviously what we remember from the movies and stuff, whether it's the Johnny Depp or the cartoon that we all saw when we were kids, the adaptation's much, much more entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
But that doesn't mean you shouldn't read it.
No.
I would urge everyone to... I always urge everybody to read the origins of most popular fiction because it's usually different.
That's where it's spun from.
Yeah, it's good. It's just good to know. And plus, the writing, it's Washington Irving, so the fucking writing is good, obviously. I guess I could read their little synopsis here. Why not? There's a good chance you read Washington Irving's classic short story in high school, but the surprise success of Fox News TV series loosely based on the stories there's a Fox News TV series?
Yeah, it was it's been canceled for a while now. But it was somehow they got to the present and stuff, and the Horseman was going, I never watched it.
I thought this was going to have some excerpts, but it does not, so I probably won't read these, actually. I'll read the ones we don't know. Number 2, William Wilson by Edgar Allan Poe, written in 1839. I don't remember if I read this, but isn't this about a guy who maybe meets a guy that's himself, or it's something about a doppelganger, I think. Let's see what they say. There are any...
I figured you being the Poe guy.
I have not got to the William Wilson. Like I said, I might have read it a long time ago. I'm pretty sure it's about a doppelganger. There are any number of Edgar Allan Poe short stories that are worthy of this list. Feel free to browse them all for yourself, and it has a link. But if I had to choose just one, I'd recommend the underrated William Wilson, in which a man describes a disturbing encounter with his own doppelganger. Yes, that is right. Yeah, it was a pretty cool story. I wouldn't say necessarily traditional horror. It's more of a unsettling. What would you do if you're walking around town and you know there's another version of you out there? And maybe you just see him from a distance, but you never can quite... that'd be weird.
Especially considering back when it was written in 1939. 1839. So, just imagine even back then, because even, now would be creepy enough, and there would be different things you could do to try to prevent...
Well, the idea of doppelgangers has been used in modern fiction for a long time, but like you said, 1839, I mean... I can't say what the first use of a doppelganger in a story was, but Poe probably had to be one of the originators of making it a horror piece.
Yeah.
Number 3. Is this guy French or Spanish? Number 3, Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu. Or is it Carmilla? He sounds like he's French. Or is that a lady? Carmilla, written in 1872. Bram Stoker gets a lot of credit for kicking off vampire literature with Dracula. But Sheridan Le Fanu beat him to the punch a full 25 years earlier with the gothic tale Carmilla. The story follows the relationship between two young girls and modern readers are likely to figure out the so-called twist long before it's revealed. But Le Fanu's prose is reliably gorgeous, and the story's lesbian undertones are surprisingly overt for a story of its era. Well, shit, a lesbian vampire story in 1872, that's something you... can get down on.
I could, yes, definitely. That's something I could sink my teeth into.
Oh shit! I'll make as much noise as possible.
I just how it had to do that slowly, roll to a stop.
These coasters suck. They always stick to the glass. What's the fucking point of them? Hey, can I get gross real quick?
Yeah.
A lesbian vampire story gives a whole new term or a whole new meaning for the term bloodsucker.
Yeah, right.
And I could add a couple other things about drinking blood and the word eating, but I'm not going to. Number 4, The Striding Place by Gertrude Atherton, 1896. I am not aware of Gertrude Atherton as a writer. I never heard of her. Atherton's brief dreamlike short story, which has also been published under the titles The Twins and The Bell in the Fog, is set during a grouse hunting trip in Yorkshire. What the fuck's a grouse? Is it a bird? Fox?
Maybe.
I don't know. Some kind of ground-dwelling mole creature? Sounds like some people I used to work with. As a man searches the woods for a friend who disappeared under mysterious circumstances 2 days earlier, it's never fully clear that has happened. But the story's final 2 sentences are all the more chilling for their ambiguity. Interesting. Alright, here's another one I've actually read. Number 5, The Turn of the Screw by Henry James, written in 1898. There's nothing like a twisty ghost story, and Henry James established himself as one of the standard bearers with his legendary tale about a governess who becomes convinced that she and her charges are being stalked by ghosts. The story's limited perspective creates a sense of unreliability that continues to fuel debate among fans and critics more than a century after its original publication. I like tales about ghouls and goblins, but I also like the old ghost tale.
So you said you read this one?
Many years ago, when I was reading that American short story, was it the American? No, maybe the Gothic. I have a bunch of short story collections. I think one of them was like a Gothic horror stories. That's where I read the Sleepy Hollow. Yeah. So I think that was one of the first stories in here. It was like last year, the year before I read it, but I think I might even put this on DPW. I don't remember. Here's another one I read. The Monkey's Paw by W.W. Jacobs, written in 1902. This is one of the most famous short stories, actually.
Yeah, I've heard of this, but everybody always does like a parody of it and things like that, but I've never actually read
this has been adapted so many times. It's been on The Simpsons, like you said, in a parody form. It's been ripped off in many other versions. You've probably seen
It's probably a matter of time before we write some kind of story like it.
Yeah, pretty much. You've probably seen one of the countless parodies of The Monkey's Paw on film or TV, but have you ever read the original story? The twisty narrative follows a couple who receives a monkey's paw that grants them 3 wishes, but everything they ask for comes with a horrible, unintended consequence. I mean, this kind of goes hand in hand with, like, the evil genie. Like, I don't want to say genre, but... version like the stories with the evil genie
or the devil, like you say you're so for
every
for a wish, but
every wish has an awful consequence that comes with. Pretty much what it is you can't fucking wish for shit. Like, if you get what you want without earning it or working for it, something bad will happen. So. They say, I'm bald. I wish for a full set of, flowing golden locks. Yeah. All of a sudden, your wife's bald. Like, something awful always happens.
I'm gonna have to get around. I'm gonna have to read that one because that's something I always wanted.
It's on the site.
Yeah,
it's on DPW. You can read it on there, or you can read it on here for free. It's a good thing about these old stories. They're public domain. A lot of them. Number 7, The Willows by Algernon Blackwood. I like that guy's name, Algernon. Yeah. Algernon, written in 1907. Algernon Blackwood has fallen into relative obscurity outside horror circles, but that's what we should get into, classic horror writers that nobody knows.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Well, then we could spout it off at fancy dinner parties that we don't go to, but we should. And then we could just, like people think we're really, really sophisticated.
Yeah, and...
You'd be like, well, Poe's good, but have you read Algernon Blackwood? Now what you really need to get into is some Scurvy McDaniels. That's, just make up names. They won't know after a while.
And just imagine what those stories are probably like.
Well, you know what? One of my all-time favorite horror stories is written by I can't remember his fucking name now. Julius. Let me look it up real quick. I always forget his name because he only wrote one story.
Oh, really?
At least one that it was ever published, but it's one of the best horror stories of all time, in my opinion.
Is it an older?
Yeah, it was written in the 30s, I think. Is his name Julius Long? Maybe.
Could you imagine that? Only ever getting one thing published, but it's like the greatest thing.
Yeah. It's The Pale Man by Julius Long. I also put that on DPW. He was a lawyer, and he just wrote one horror story, but it's about a man who goes in a hotel. Back then, it was like a, kind of like a country inn or something, or like a little town inn. And he was staying there for a while, and I think he had a nervous breakdown or something. There's this pale man who lives in the town, or in the hotel with him. And the guy, like the guy who's staying there, he really wants to kind of meet the Pale Man, but he doesn't because the guy's always around, but he's kind of weird. And like people keep dying in the hotel, and then every time somebody dies, the Pale Man takes their room, and he's getting closer and closer to the protagonist, like moving room for room. And then you find out he's like the devil or death or something like that. But it's a really, really well written story. And I think the edition I put on DPW, I think I accompanied it with a. I might have. I think like somebody did a reading on YouTube. That's a really good version, so that's worth checking out. Who's sending me pictures? Mindy, why are you sending me pictures? You eat balls. And it's like a sticky pad writing thing. Like,
nice.
So apparently I eat balls.
Breaking news.
Is there a reason I eat balls, or is this just common knowledge that you want our fans to know? Well, apparently I eat.
She just needed. There was a note for the podcast, and it was that
you eat balls. It was very like fancy how that was written. Anyway, Algernon Blackwood has fallen into relative obscurity outside of horror circles, but he's long overdue for a revival. His strongest story, The Willows, is a moody and ominous story about two friends who end up stranded alone on a riverbank during a canoe trip on the Danube. Or the Danube, I don't know. The Willow's creeping sense of dread is almost unmatched in horror fiction. At several points during his lifetime, H.P. Lovecraft wrote that he considered it the greatest supernatural story of all time.
Ooh.
It's a pretty ringing endorsement.
You're definitely going to have to check that out now.
Yeah.
If your boy said this is the greatest thing of all time.
Why is he my boy?
I don't know. He's your boy. Poe's your boy.
Look, I find Edgar Allan Poe far superior to one H.P. Lovecraft and way less racist. I just like H.P. Lovecraft's imagery. His writing is a bit hard to read. But yes, I will say that this sounds quite intriguing. Algernon Blackwood, folks. Check him out. I like finding people, I don't know. Speaking of H.P. Lovecraft, this is also one of my favorite stories. It's on the website as well. I must have just jacked this whole list because I have...
We could just went to our website. We should have been pumping our website this whole time.
Well, I also think that this website probably did what we did. Like I said about the free use of public domain stories. These are all public domain, so... Number 8, The Outsider by H.P. Lovecraft, written in 1926. Like Poe, Lovecraft's canon is so rich that you'd be better off browsing a list of his public domain short stories or just picking up a full short story collection, which is what I have done. But if you're looking to dip your toe into the water, I'd suggest The Outsider, a strange, beautifully written tale about a man who finally escapes a dank castle where he has spent his entire life in isolation. It's one of Lovecraft's shortest stories, but also one of his most effective. Like, from what I remember, what made this story so cool is I think, like, the castle was, like, underground or something, and he had to, like, go up to get out. It was weird.
An underground castle.
Something weird like that. Like, it was, like, because you know how he always does, like, weird geometry in his work and stuff. It was really, really fucking cool.
So is he mostly just like a short story guy, or did he go into full-length novels?
No, I think only wrote short stories. I mean, The Mountains of Madness and maybe like the Dunwich Horror. Like a few of those stories are, I would say, novella length.
But not full.
Or they might even be novel length, but they were just short stories. Nothing was... Because he published in magazines like Weird Tales and like that stuff, like serial fiction and things. So I don't think he ever written... Like even Edgar Allan Poe, because his time... He was right before H.P. Lovecraft. His time, it wasn't... He only has one novel. So, just back then, I don't think a lot of those like horror writers really could publish novels. It was mainly
even just anybody publishing novels would probably be difficult to do. Imagine how much it cost.
Like, you had like Dickens. Well, even like Dickens and stuff. I think a lot of those stories were always like James Joyce. I mean, Finnegan's Wake was one of like the longest, craziest works of the time, but it was periodical. Yeah. Like it was like a monthly thing. Like they were all, even their novels, or what became novels back then, where a lot of them were published in magazines at the time, because that's where the money was. I mean, you don't. Oh, number 9. It's the end of the list. The Pale Man by Julius Long, 1934. I already described that one. So what do you? I would recommend you, Mr. Spencer Church, read The Pale Man by Julius Long.
Yes,
that's one, because that's also. What I like about that compared to almost everything else on that list, that's one that modern audiences can read without getting like too bored. Like just the writing style wise, like you're not going to get overwhelmed or just be like how you read H.P. Lovecraft. You're like, oh my God, like you have to be in a mood. The Pale Man's more of a, a story I think modern audiences could read and just kind of like read in one sitting. Because like H.P. Lovecraft, it's hard to read one of his short stories in one sitting. You get burnt out.
Yeah, just trying to figure out the words and like the way he, because I remember you saying too, just the way he says things too is
well that's the same with
a couple times is like to understand it.
Well, that's the same with Poe and Washington Irving. I mean, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, I think it's a very short story, but it took me. I mean, I would read them in like 10-minute chunks or something, but it probably took me 2 or 3 days or something to get through it, just because it's like one of those ones you just kind of like, okay, I need a break.
You took it in like whenever you had to take a shit. You know, you're just gonna be like 10, 15 minutes.
I would recommend you read The Outside, like they said in that article. The Outsider is one of H.P. Lovecraft's most easily readable pieces.
Yeah.
And it gives you a good taste of the man's style of writing without overwhelming you. Because if you, even like Cthulhu, which is only like, maybe not the Cthulhu, like the Necronomicon or one of those short stories, some of them are only 2 or 3 pages. But those 2 or 3 pages will take you like 45 minutes sometimes. You're like, oh my God. Yeah, so check out Julius Long. Like I said, if you want to talk about obscure writers, one story.
Yeah.
Like that's obscure, but one of the best stories that in the genre, so that's pretty cool.
Was it like back then, was it popular, or did it just get popular later?
I don't know if it's popular now. I don't think it was ever really popular. I think it's just one of those ones people found, and almost like some classic movies people find, like, wait, this is kind of good.
Yeah.
And it just becomes...
I was just wondering, because if it became popular back then, like, why you didn't do any more? It must have not have...
It's hard to say, yeah. I don't really know. Like, if you go to his Wikipedia, I don't think there's much on the man, if he even has a Wikipedia. I would like to add to this list The Pit and the Pendulum by Edgar Allan Poe. Obviously, The Telltale Heart is a classic. I mean, I'm sure these were going for shorter stories and free stories. Yeah. But
Monkey Paw, you gotta read Monkey Paw.
Yeah, The Monkey's Paw. What other classic horror tales? Just because to me, I feel it would be a classic if it was just written in a longer period of time. But the what is that? The Man in the Black Suit by Stephen King.
Yeah,
I feel like that's one of the best horror short stories ever written. Like just the fear and the feelings it invokes for just like a short story set in the daytime about a kid who meets the devil in the woods.
Yeah, and he just won like a suit.
Yeah, it was really fucking creepy. I think he won a couple of awards for that story. So like that's a modern one I would suggest people check out. What collection was that in? The Bazaar of Bad Dreams or whatever that was called?
No, I think that one was in like that. Maybe Everything's Irrelevant, I think.
Well, you could find that on YouTube as a reading or on a couple websites to read for free. Do you have any horror stories you've read that you would recommend, like classic short stories? I know Ray Bradbury, I think, has a couple, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. And Kurt Vonnegut, he has a couple that are kind of horror-ish, and they're pretty cool. But those two kind of, especially like Kurt Vonnegut, would be more like a sci-fi.
Yeah. Shit, like Joe Hill's first collection of short stories, most of them are like a horror from 20th Century Ghosts. Most of those are like great. No, not all of them are horror, but like they're all close to them are mostly horror. But yeah, I haven't delved into like a lot of that classic. It'd just be all like Stephen King stuff.
Mm-hmm. Another really popular Edgar Allan Poe short story that's been in a lot of movies and like I think has been adapted to movies and things is The Black Cat.
Oh yeah.
Let's see what else we got. Damn, I'm just looking at this list of Edgar Allan Poe ones. I forgot how many he has. Like The Fall of the House of Usher, The Mask of the Red Death, The Cask of Amontillado. I would recommend reading the original Frankenstein and Dracula, even though those are only... At least Frankenstein's not a short story. I don't know about Dracula, but just get your classic horror out of the way. Oh, this is one I want... I keep fucking telling you we need to do for the... for a podcast, is read The Murder in the Rue Morgue by Edgar Allan Poe.
No, you keep on saying that.
Yeah, because it's the first ever, like, mystery. Like, real... Like, how modern mystery stories are told. It was, like, the first one. Like, he invented it. And the title's cool. I mean, fucking Murder in the Morgue. Come on. Oh, The Signal Man by Charles Dickens was pretty cool. I don't know how much of a horror that one is, but I remember reading it, and I think it was about a man who, like, falls off a boat and ends up in, like, the dark water or something. Like, that's obviously a classic horror Like, think about how scary that would be if you're in the ocean and you fall off a fucking boat in the dark waters, and then the boat just doesn't know, like, nobody in the boat knows you fell, and they just leave you there.
Oh, yeah, and you're just stuck.
You can't do anything, you just scream until you drown. Like, that would be it. That's one of my worst nightmares.
Children of the Corn, if we're going the Stephen King route.
We can't go too hard, Stephen King. This is classics, though. This is classics, man. That's why we gotta get you reading some classics, Spencer. Goddamn fucking Stephen King. Ooh, The Body Snatchers?
Ooh.
That's another one.
Yeah.
Robert Louis Stevenson. That's a classic. I mean, how many movies have been done off of that? And how many times has that idea been stolen? You know, you got the idea of pod people and shit. That's on the website.
Pod people.
Jesus, this is just almost all Edgar Allan Poe. That tells you how fucking influential that man was. Would you agree or disagree that Edgar Allan Poe is the most important writer of American, like modern American fiction, especially horror fiction? Pre-1970.
I mean, probably.
Think about, Lovecraft, Stephen King, like these guys, I think Bradbury, like all these guys were influenced by him.
Yeah.
And his work still holds up, even though some of it's hard to read. Like all the stories, like we still talk about these stories and we're still adapting these stories. Like Lovecraft just kind of made it because he had Cthulhu. If he didn't have Cthulhu, I don't think his work would have really been known.
That's what everybody grabbed. Well, that and the Necronomicon.
That's all the same thing. It's all Cthulhu. Like, it's all the Cthulhu mythos.
Okay. I didn't know if they were, like, separate.
Because he wrote a lot of short stories and stuff that weren't Cthulhu at all. And people just, fucking whatever. Charles Dickens has The Haunted House. What about Shirley Jackson? The Haunted House. And I think that's a novel. Never mind. We got Into the Wood by Robert Aikman. Margaret Sawyer, the wife of a prosperous Manchester building contractor, is bored and unsatisfied with her life. Well, who hasn't been there? Right. She travels to Sweden on a business trip with her husband, where she finds herself staying overnight at the Kurhus, a sanatorium for insomniacs, some of whom have not slept for years. I like that idea already. Yeah, I guess we don't have to go into those too hardcore. I'm not going into another list. But I think that there is some fiction you need to get to reading, sir.
Yep, yeah.
Well,
I'm getting there. I only got like 3 more Stephen King books to read, so I'm getting there.
Well, here's the thing, Spencer.
Yeah,
if that's your real name.
It's obviously it's not.
I think that you should read one classic horror short story a week.
A week
for October. Well, some of these are only like 3 pages.
Yeah, fair.
So, do you want to pick them, or do you want me to pick you one and then you just read it? Because I could probably find all these online for free and just have you read them.
Make like how we doing a list. Make me like a master list.
Well, how about I just give you some of the ones on DPW? I'll just send you randomly because that'd be easiest.
Yeah.
You know, and plus it gives a view to the website. Boost our own numbers.
Every click counts, folks.
Every click counts. Because I always pick the shortest stories for that because I don't want to go over like 3 pages.
Yeah.
Who the fuck wants to read a 20,000 word story on a website? I don't.
No.
No, I know you don't have to make it like each page a next page, but it's a lot easier to read rather because you lose your place when you've got 5,000 words on one page.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? I'm trying to think here. Oh, my balls are so itchy right now.
Because you eat so many.
Because I eat so many, I'm growing a new one.
Yeah.
And it's the expansion of my testicle area, my scrotum is making it quite itchy. It's like when you grow a tumor and your skin's real itchy.
Yeah. Is that how it works? Is that how you can tell?
I would imagine you get a bug bite. I don't know. Why are you talking about this, Spencer?
You brought it up.
Book of the month. I'm almost done with it. It's about zombies, man. So you folks,
I'm already done. So,
what is it? The Tower of the Dead?
Yes, Tower of the Dead by
Ray Wink.
Yes,
is that his name Wink.
And I saw that he was going to be at Columbus. So.
Yeah, so we can tell Mr. Wink that we. Well, we'll tell him we enjoyed the work if we enjoyed it. I mean, we'll have to do the review first.
Yeah.
Maybe he fucking hated it. So far, I'm halfway through. I like it.
Yeah.
It's fun. We're still doing our giveaway, folks. We haven't got any new fucking things for that recently in like the last week or two, so we need some names for Spencer.
Well, when's the cutoff?
I said Halloween. Probably.
Oh, Halloween? Okay.
Why not? We also need poems and flash fiction for the Halloween theme. We have a lot of short stories now. I've been trying to read one a day and getting back to people. It's kind of hard to keep up.
Yeah.
But we got some good ones. Trying to think, maybe we should start doing haikus.
No.
I don't know anything about fucking haikus.
No.
I remember doing those in school, and I was like, I don't like this.
Nope.
It's stupid. Why is this a thing? Like, and I think like haiku is like a Japanese thing. So what the fuck's a Japanese haiku sound like?
You're the one learning Japanese. You tell me.
No, I don't want to. All right, folks. Well, if you like this episode or you hated this episode, let us know by going to drunkenpenwriting.com and going to that contact form and saying, you guys have messed up so many names on this show that I am no longer going to listen, or, conversely, I'm going to keep listening just to tell you how you keep fucking up. Both are acceptable, I understand.
Or how dare you talk about these writers that you've never read their work of, these old white guys, you're misrepresenting them. That would never happen.
Dare you? I just don't understand how you fucking guys think that you can talk about work and writers that you've never read. You're right, I should just stick to the writers I know. But if I did that from the beginning, I would never read. Yeah. And that's the problem with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I find if you start reading an author's work and you like one or two of his or her or its story, you will continue to read said author's work.
Things.
Yeah. So when we go through these lists, even though I may butcher the names of the French, Irish, African, Japanese, Russian, Colombian, Dominican Republican, Cuban, Mexican, Canadian, American, Hawaiian, which is a branch of America. I don't care what you say, because the Hawaiians have hard names too. That's a good one, Hawaiian writers. Look, I understand. We're no good. But we try so hard. We don't really try hard. I mean, I could probably find the pronunciation.
We could definitely try harder.
The point is, I feel even if I butcher people's names or the names of their stories, it'll make you want to just look it up to say, hey, this fucking idiot. And then you can mispronounce it in your own head and act like you're superior to me because you Google the pronunciation. Anyway, you can go to the old Twitter, which is a good place to rant against us if you want, at drunkpenwriting. I don't know about you, Spencer, but I kind of hate Twitter now. There's a lot of angry people on there.
Yeah.
And they're so quick to, people on Twitter are so quick to voice their anger, but they're very hesitant to share the positives in their life. It's like, it's more like this. It's like, oh, yeah, I just got published. And you'll have a bunch of people give fake congratulations, but nobody will click on the link to see, the work you just got published.
Yeah.
But if you're just like, oh, man, these fucking assholes, they call me racist. Here's the link to what they're saying about me. Everyone will click it.
It's just, I don't know.
I think
Twitter bad. Hashtag bad.
Hashtag bad apples.
Yeah. Hashtag bad Twitter. Boo hiss.
We need to do some fall-related things. Hashtag rotten pumpkins. You can go to Facebook, Drunken Pen Writing, and you can... I feel like we should probably... Do you think we should start using Facebook more than Twitter? Because that's where the engagement comes from, and you can write longer posts there, but...
Yeah.
Ash from Me Read This, he just recently got on Twitter, and I gave him a couple pointers, but he said... I think he was telling us the one time he had his most interaction on Instagram, of all places.
Yeah, I think he was saying... that one time we was talking to him before we recorded, wasn't he saying that? We were just we don't know what to put on there. Yeah,
I mean... I'm thinking, though, when we do lists like this, we could do, like H.P. Lovecraft and do facts about H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah. That might be cool. I mean, we could try it out. It's just like another fucking thing, man. Here, how about this? Which one do you want to take over, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram? And you'll have to moderate it really strictly every day like I do on all these platforms.
Instagram, maybe? It seems like the easiest.
You have to be very strict with your grammar and your spelling. And what you're posting, and make sure you don't accidentally share dick pics, and you have to really be precise with your hashtags.
The hashtag, I've always had trouble hashtagging. I don't hashtag.
What I do with hashtags is I just look what's trending and use that, which is usually just am writing community, am reading, those kind of things. But some people go real hard on the hashtags, and I don't know what how do you? Are you good at this or are you bad at this? And people just I don't know the rules. I should get Mindy to do it. Mindy! What? Do you want to be our social media manager for an Instagram account? Yeah. You could do it. We're going to... Come here. Come in the kitchen. I mean, the studio.
Yeah.
Come in, not the fake dining room. We're talking about putting up an Instagram because our buddy, the British feller, Ash from Ear Read This podcast says he gets most of his interaction on Instagram, surprisingly, for the podcast.
Yeah.
So we're thinking maybe when we do lists like we just did the classic horror stories, like Edgar Allan Poe or H.P. Lovecraft, for instance, find a cool picture of them or some art. Well, we probably don't want to do art. I don't want to steal anybody's work. Maybe just a picture. Share that and then do like facts about the person, or because it's got to be related. Then we could do podcast related things. And but you're a lady.
Yeah.
But then I have to learn.
Learn what?
About what I'm posting.
Yeah.
Oh, that might be a problem.
You can't take the 5 minutes out of your day to learn about
Google?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I can.
And you don't have to do 1 or 2 posts a day, if that.
Maybe. Is there an incentive?
I don't think you can talk about those incentives on air.
Remember this ball eating thing you sent me?
I sent you something else. You just didn't open it yet. Also, you didn't tell Spencer about the comic that I've been reading that you've gotten to read.
I wanted to tell you, Spencer. I will in a minute. Let's go back to Instagram for a second, and then I'll look up the thing you sent me. So I don't want to...
Checklist.
Yeah, we're at the end of this fucking 20-minute outro. It's going to be longer than the whole episode. It's all right. You know what? This is going to be the first October episode. We're floating through. October is a busy time for us.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't been posting much in September, but you folks need to know October is going to be fucking jam-packed. So that's why I've been kind of easing up, because anthology, non-stop short stories, people submitting, fucking Mindy on Instagram now. It's going to be wild. It's going to be chaos. But what other ideas? Because Ash has his sister... She draws, and she does a lot of custom art form, like Charles Dickens, and a lot of classic pictures. And then he says that gets a lot of interaction, like people like that. Well, I was thinking what we could start doing, for instance, not just the fucking classic writers and stuff, but like how we were talking about doing an episode about classic fictional villains and stuff. Yeah. You know, do a Pinhead, do modern things like that, do some scary movies, and you could do like a poster from a movie, or I don't know. Who's your Freddy? You're a Freddy lady, right? Like Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, that scared me.
Yeah, so we could do like a Nightmare on Elm Street, the first movie poster, and you could do some facts on why Freddy's cool, and just a little quick post.
Yeah.
You don't seem so stoked.
Yeah.
You were all about it. What would you post? There's inspirational writing messages from Mindy.
Well, then we could also do like once it would be nice too. Once we have product out, we can post pictures of the book, and like maybe start taking like pictures of like our word count for the day or something like that, and post those. I think that is a very good idea that we should probably do, because Twitter is not where it's at for getting people to people like Twitter and Facebook. They like the memes and stuff I share, and they comment and things like that, but they're not too heavy on the link clicks. Yeah, like you post a story. You have to like really prod. You almost have to guilt them into like, oh man, I overcame cancer. You should read my story. Like that's what people always do, and I ain't fucking making up shit. Anyway, Mindy's been reading this comic that I got her into because it's like one of her CW shows, but in comic form, and it's very entertaining. And what is it? 84 issues now that you've read in like a matter of a few days. Is it like a webcomic? Yeah. Yes. Okay. It's called Let's Play. All right.
I downloaded the webtoon app.
Yeah. She got the app. She even spent money to buy some issues that weren't out yet, because you can buy issues. She is into it, and I'm proud because I've been trying to get her to read comics for a long time. Who is the writer of this? I'm not finding her name.
It's very good.
Well, since
I guess that is her name. The writer of Let's Play and the creator, she does all the art obviously, is Mongi. Mongi is an illustrator, concept artist, former code monkey, part-time Amazonian princess, level 14 elven mage, recovering MMO addict, retired tuba player, and a short order cook to her cats. But despite what sounds super nerdy, which it is a nerdy comic because it's about a video game creator and stuff, and it's very well done. Nice. I enjoy it, and I don't really enjoy the romance type of things like that, but it's very enjoyable. And Miss Linda Mulaney Jr. Sanchez. Jr.
Since you already got the app, you should check out. There's a writer that I like called Justin Jordan. He has a series on there on the old webtoons called Urban Animal. It's kind of more of like a like sci-fi kind of like there's like people turn into like animals and like can like there's half animal half people things. I kind of think I haven't had a chance to read it, but I mean while you're while you're already on there, you need
explore my options.
Yes,
expand your reading list.
Maybe.
I opened what you sent me, Mindy, and it is a picture. It's a GIF or animated. What do they call this? What the fuck do they call this stupid thing? Avatar.
Oh, yeah.
It's an avatar of yourself raising your hand saying, I eat ass. So I guess Mindy eats ass. I mean, that's what I'm gathering. Now, because her fucking writing's so wonderful, it looks like it says leet ass. But it's not leet ass, it's I eat ass. But, I mean, that's her. That's her raising her hand saying she eats ass, right?
Yeah, or just, like she's waving like, I eat ass.
Also, I don't know why, but she kind of almost looks like me, maybe. Or, like, she looks like a dude a little bit in that avatar. Like, the mouth looks kind of mannish.
Well, I didn't choose the mouth.
Oh.
Does it look like me, though?
No.
Thanks.
Your hair's not that red.
Oh, thanks.
No, I'm just saying that's like a carrot.
I know, right?
Carrots aren't red. They're orange.
Yeah.
So, if you folks wonder, apparently Mindy eats ass. I wouldn't know about that, but maybe in her past or something. It's hard to say. She reads comics now, though, so who knows what she's into these days. So.
But she did say your birthday's coming up, so.
That's true. Anyway, head on over to Drunk Pen Writing. Let us know what you think. And remember, enter the giveaway and submit some Halloween-themed stuff. You'll enjoy it. You never know. And look out for the anthology, which we'll keep posting about nonstop until you get irritated. Till then, have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
Bye.